Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. For those of you in the United States, you're getting ready for a long weekend, a holiday weekend. I don't think there's one in the UK. I'm not entirely sure, but everyone's getting ready to get their barbecue on, I'm sure. I had some yesterday, so it's very much in the forefront of my mind. So, yeah, 2 videos in a week, right? It's like London buses, you don't have any, and then 3 come along at the same time. And so I was actually talking to my friend Trevor Colt yesterday, and he said to me, Matt, you should go on and just do like 15 minutes and talk about what's going on in the world. So I was like, okay, because there is a lot going on. And as you guys know, I've felt for a long time that many people do not have a voice. And so, or feel like they don't have a voice. So in the absence of that, I guess you got me. Which actually goes on to the first thing that I want to really talk about, which is culture. And I keep going on and on and on about culture. And I must sound like a broken record to you guys, and certainly for a lot of people on X, when I keep saying, hey, listen, go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel, go over. And, I did that for a little while, and I was trying to make a point that we don't really get involved. As conservatives, we don't really get involved in the culture. We consume the culture, but we don't really get involved in the culture. And why is that important? So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a kind of, for those that don't kind of get it, like a little bit of a more of a overarching kind of view on why it's important. So I think maybe it was a year ago, I kind of like promised my daughter that if Harry Styles ever came to Dallas or came to Texas, that I would take her to the Harry Styles concert. Well, Harry Styles came to Texas. And so I was like, okay, being a good dad, I've got to be a man of my word. I was like, okay, I'm going to go down there with all the other hundreds of dads and sit through Harry Styles' concert. And he was really good, to be honest. I mean, in a previous life, I went around and sang a little bit. And so it was nice to go there. It was a very clean concert, to be honest. There wasn't anything really objectionable in it, apart from I'm standing there and my daughter's dancing along, and I'm like, being the dutiful father. And Harry Styles starts talking about abortion, about the latest legislature. I think it was actually going through, like a bill was going through to ban abortion or something like that. And my daughter went from that to like hands down, right? So she was immediately alienated. Right, like immediately alienated, and it kind of like, it broke my heart a little bit, because there she was with everyone having a good time. And then you guys remember this, there was a moment, and it went viral, where he said, vote for Pete, and Pete Buttigieg was there. His name is Buttigieg, right? My wife is Maltese, okay? Nobody says his name right. I'm just telling you, his name is Maltese, and it's Buttigieg, just so you know. And the whole place went up, like screamed. I looked around, it's funny because I saw the dads. The dads weren't doing anything. So obviously a bunch of like Texan dads there, like totally not down with it. I'm sure some of them were. But I looked around and I was like, I don't know how many people were in that stadium, maybe 30,000 people. And there are 30,000 young girls there. And some were in, a voting age, right? Some were below, but a lot of them were voting age. That are going to go, Harry Styles likes Pete Buttigieg, I'm going to go and vote for Pete Buttigieg. And I know it's kind of difficult for us old farts to kind of really understand, right? Because we make our decisions based on other things. But if you cast your mind back, if you weren't like a Republican your whole life, or you weren't like a Democrat, you were raised like me with no real affinity, okay. You're not really looking into it, right? You're not at 18 going, well, I'm going to second how my taxes going to figure out that it doesn't happen. In fact, that's why the left is so good at it, because they say to people, we're going to forgive your student loans. It's perfect messaging, because all the students are like, yeah, because that's all they think about. They don't think about the long-term implications and what it means to pay taxes and raise a family and all that. It's all new to them. So culture is really important, because you have people that are involved in the culture that have massive reach, and which is one of the reasons why the left cancels actors and singers, on the right, because then you don't have an influence. You don't get a say. I was saying the other day, Mark Hamill has 5.1 million viewers or followers on Twitter. That's huge reach. And you can go through all the other people that are coming out. They have massive millions and millions of reach. And by the way, you got to think about Hollywood spends about $3 billion a year on press and advertising for the movie. So if you're in that movie, then you are getting pushed. You know, your name is getting out there. It's necessary. I mean, that's why when you're in the film industry, you get to a point where you are worth more to the film than the film is to you, right? You have more of a reach. Like if you say, I'm going to go and see a Tom Cruise movie, like it's a Tom Cruise movie, it's got a stamp of quality on it for the most part. So that has a dollar amount meaning for the studios, right? So they will put that person in. So in addition to that, you've got this kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, the system feeds itself, right? Like the person gets more and more famous, gets more and more reach, therefore is more valuable to the studio. So the studio hires them more because it's this simpatico relationship, right? But what they'll do is they'll push out conservative actors because they don't want them to have a say. And then if you have a conservative, let's say you have an actor that really has a passion for saving the giraffes or whatever, then they now have a dollar amount attached to their name that means that they can go and make a movie that can get X amount of financing because of that, right? So it's this interesting relationship. And that's why you'll see actors do the big movies and then they'll go off and do their own, like what they call passion projects. Sometimes it used to be that they were about like books that they loved that couldn't get made, you know. Now it's more about, I've got a social justice thing that I want to push. All right, so culture is really, really important. And the only way that we can really tackle it is by subscribing, right? Subscribing to people that you support. And a lot of people go, well, I'm not giving my money to YouTube. Don't think of it like that. You cannot think of it like that because you give your money to people that hate you every day. But what this does is it gives clout, right? It gives people power, right? It gives the people that you support power. For example, fantastic shows like Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, Ryan Canal, Drunk 3PO, all those guys, Geeks and Gamers, they've been really instrumental in kind of moving Disney. You might not think that they have, but they have. They really have. I mean, those executives are talking about those shows because when Will drops a video or when Gary drops a video, you're looking at millions of views. And what that means is, there's millions of people that agree with what they're saying for the most part. Of course, there's some hate clicks, right? But the majority of people are like, yeah, this is how I feel. Like, I feel like you're giving me a voice. Now, they've spent a long time building that up. And again, the content is really great. That's why they've really, really gone after Gary Nerdrotic hard to try and like call him names and everything. But the fact is that those guys have a lot of power now. And they are pulling the culture a certain way. Even though the studios would never admit it, right? But they do. They're really having a massive effect. And that's the case for other influencers. So one of the reasons why I talk about this a lot is, and I posted yesterday on Twitter about when I was cancelled in 2010, and most people don't know about it because I didn't like make a big deal about it. I was like, I'm going to soldier on. And after a while, you kind of go, hang on a second, because there are other people, there are other actors out there that agree with me, but then they just keep their mouth shut and they don't say anything. They keep making money and they don't ever go, hey, you know what, Matt, we'll have you on the show. And that's their prerogative, but this is where we lose, right? This is where conservatives lose because we have this rugged individualism. But as I said in a video the other day, there comes a moment where you have to say, hang on a second, we're in this together, right? We have to back each other. We have to look after each other. And you guys have the power, right? You guys actually have the power. You saw it with Bud Light, right? You brought them to their knees over Bud Light. But conservatives are pretty much like, okay, I did that. That kind of pissed me off, so I got involved. Now I've got to look after my kids and I've got to... and I get that. We're all working. We're trying to make a living, trying to look after our families. But the problem is the other side are not sleeping, right? They never stop. It is their absolute mission in life to usher in whatever, which is certainly looking like some kind of a Marxist communist agenda right now. So I just want you to understand that. That's why I keep going on about culture, because if you think about movies that have really inspired you, like Rocky really inspired me, that would never get made today. They would never make Rocky Balboa today. Like the original Rocky, Rocky 1, Rocky 2. It never happened. Think about how they phased out all those masculine men from movies, and every now and then one will come through like Chris Hemsworth, who's great, and then he's completely emasculated in the last Avengers movie. He's just some fat mess who gives up his kingship to a woman. It's intentional, guys. Right? I'm just saying, it's just intentional. And I love Chris Hemsworth. I love those guys. And anyways, so that's the first thing. Second thing, I want to just talk a little bit about the interview last night. What a complete disaster that is. Like, you can see why Kamala Harris does not want to go out there, right? She does not want to be asked questions. That's why they're limiting the amount of debates. There should really be 3 debates, but there's only going to be 1, it looks like now, and then they keep, you got to sit down. I've got to be able to have notes and all this. I mean, this woman is just the worst. She's terrible. They're trying to tell you, they're trying to gaslight you how great she is. And here's the problem, again, going back to the cultural thing. If you have 5 million people following you on X and you say she's the greatest thing, you guys are giving a lot of people too much credit. Right, that they're going to go, don't be ridiculous, we've watched what she said. They don't see it. People are living their lives, and they might get that little boom, that little hit, right? And they'll go, oh, well, so-and-so and so-and-so says she's great, so she's probably great, right? And, I mean, even when it comes to, like, the take in the Trump policies, like, nobody's really, they're trying to, even CNN actually held her to account yesterday. Like, you flipped on fracking, right? You're flipping on everything. But it's about reach. It's about getting the message out there. And if you think, like I said before, think about Hollywood, because people say, whoa, well, we have studios. We've got Fox. Okay, we've got Fox. We've got The Blaze, awesome place, and The Daily Wire. But Fox is the only one that's really mainstream there. Right, nobody that is on the left is really tuning into the Blaze or into the Daily Wire. They might catch something on YouTube about it, right? Which is why it's important, right? I keep telling you, it's not just about you guys; it's about getting it to other people that might need their mentality adjusted, right, a little bit, or be open to something else, right? So it's very, very important. But if you look at those 3, and then you've got like Angel Studios, right, as far as film's concerned. And they have ABC, NBC, MSNBC. I could just keep going, right? Universal. It used to be the It used to be the CW. I don't know what it's called now. I don't watch cable anymore. But then you've got Sony, you've got Universal Studios, you've got Warner Brothers, you've got Disney, you've got all these Fox. You've got all these studios, and they're massive. Right, they're absolutely massive, and they're all plugged in, and they're all putting this stuff out. So it's really important for the people that you respond to back them. And like I said, sometimes it's just with a click. If I had as many people on YouTube as I do on Twitter, then I could focus totally on doing this. Like Russell Brand has got like 6 million people on there, and he does a great show, right? But you need infrastructure for that. And we need more people, not less people. We need more people. And I do not want to have to bend to someone funding me. All right? I want to keep what I put out there exactly how I feel, for right or for wrong, just authentic. I think that's really important. There's a big controversy right now about Trump and what he's saying about birth control and IVF and abortion and all that. Guys, listen, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, I understand the theory behind it. I'm a Catholic. I do understand the teachings of the Catholic Church, right? And I could go into that. Father Mike Smith says a great thing that explains why the Catholic Church teaches what it teaches. But here's the thing. It's the same thing with the DeSantis people who are like, I'm never going to vote for Trump because DeSantis is so awesome, blah, blah. You don't know. You clearly don't understand what time it is right now. You are literally going to usher in these Marxist, socialist, communists, right? They're going to come in, and you think that they're going to be better than whatever Trump is saying, or what JD Vance is saying. You think they're going to be better than that? Because that's what you're going for, right? You're going for another 4 years. And there's this like kind of naive mentality. I hate to say it like this naive mentality that it's all going to be rectified in the next election. It's not. If you think that is the case, then you do not understand what time it is in America. All right? You don't get it. You're seeing what they did to X in Brazil. You're seeing what they're doing over in the UK. If you stand up, if you say anything, they clamp down, they throw you in jail. And it has happened in the United States as well. It's right here. So the only chance we have is to get Republicans in and pressure. Again, it comes from pressure. This is what I'm talking about, numbers. Like, politicians are so weak in this country that if you have someone that puts any kind of pressure on them, right, they're going to cave. They're going to change. They don't think that you guys care. That they're like, we can do whatever we want. Do you see? And the only way of changing that is by having people that have big enough followings that they go, oh no, like this is going to affect my election, or this is going to affect my donors. All right, the left does this really, really well, and we don't. So that's all I'm trying to say. Like, try and get engaged in the fight. Try and, you got to live your life. I understand that. Put us in. Put those of us in that want to work. And if it just means a click and maybe 15 minutes watching a video like this every day, that really matters. So you can really make a difference, and it gives you the power. It's just you. If you don't like it, after a while, unsubscribe or don't watch. But at least then you guys have the power, right? Like, it's on you. And that's the way it should be. All right, and social media has allowed us to do that. It's allowed us to give they're trying to stop it, right? They're trying to stop it, but and like my friend Trevor Court was like demonetized for years and years and years on YouTube, which is, and then guess what? What he did was he kept going out and posting, it's like day 50 of a 30-day review. I mean, this has been going on for literally years for him, but it forced them to change their way. So if you give people, it's just a click. If you give people the power, then they can utilize it for you, right? You have the power. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to try and do more of these, come up and do like a 15-minute video. Again, please subscribe. I'm not asking you to subscribe on X. If you do, that's awesome, right? On X, you have to pay. It's $3. It's a cup of coffee, right? But I do understand these are hard times. But it just facilitates me being able to do more content, be able to get more interviews. I'd like to do more stuff in studio and get better people. But I want to be independent. I don't want to have to rely on someone. So they say, hey, listen, you can't talk about that, right? If you guys are my boss, then you can either choose, you know what, I don't want to listen to that this week. Or I'm not going to comment, or whatever it might be. But that's on you. I don't want anyone else telling me what I can and can't say. Right? You'll always get exactly the way I feel if that matters to you. And maybe it won't. Maybe it doesn't. But I think this is the future. You got to have people that are out there talking and make you go, I'm not losing my mind. Right? I'm not going crazy. There's somebody else there saying the way I feel. And I certainly feel like that about what's going on in the UK. And this really happened for me, and I can't say what it is on this channel, but this really changed for me over the last few years, and understanding that if you have a voice, then it's kind of incumbent on you to get in there and do what's right. So anyway, thank you very much. If you like this, subscribe, like and subscribe, put the comments down, and, I might even try and do one of these a day if you want. It's up to you. Like I said, you're the boss. Let me know. And remember that not all actors I like this, I promise.